see America's racist. You build around the immigrants your company's made with. And as I study the law, I saw a Mason that was British, constitutional flaws. I put a hook in your jaw. It's like a R&B singer with political cause. I rip a verse and I'm gone. I'm back at it. I'm Chavez with bad habits. I'm Mexican, not Spanish. Latinos, we crop cabbage 100.
All right, hip hop heads and horror fans, this is your host, 7 Octoberz, here with another episode of Nightmare on Sedgwick Avenue, Season 2, Episode 5. Today I have a special guest. I just played one of his tracks from his latest project called The Feature Presentation. The track is called Who Got the Power. As you can see, he rhymes both in English and Spanish. We'll get into that in a second. He goes by the name of Arquitekto Verbal. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring him here on the screen. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me, yo.
Hey, no problem. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. So this is actually the first time we're meeting virtually, so nice to meet you.
Right.
All right. So usually
nice
like
to meet you too. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've been, like we've been ever since I guess like Inca was the one that kind of like showed me your page, and
Yeah.
I saw what you were doing, and it was pretty dope. And then you had reached out, and then it was just like from there, you hit me, hey, with the interview, and I'm always down to do things like this for anybody, because it's really just the hip hop thing is about love and sharing each other's stuff.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, man. Yeah, like shout out to 86 Inca, Audio P, and I Above, who put me on to you as well. I follow obviously their page, and I'm on a project that they're dropping soon, and they're always dropping like dope, content, sharing like dope artists that I might not be aware of, which is cool. I always like listening to new artists. So when I heard your project with like orchestrated sounds, I was like, this is like dope. So I listened to it, and then I reviewed it on my blog, and then like you said, I hit you up. Like actually your project is literally like one of my top 10 underground favorite like albums of this year. So you did a great job.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
man. I mean, we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that album.
Yeah.
I mean, it just sucks that it had to come out during this time where there's really like nothing, like all these problems are going on in the world, and
yeah.
But at the same time, I guess like it was a good thing, and it benefited us because it kind of shed some light on some people that were probably going through some stuff. And I get hit up by random people, and they're like, yo, like I really like these songs, I mean, like when I was having problems, it took me away. And as an artist, that's probably what you're aiming for.
Exactly.
I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's really dope to hear you. Yeah.
On your topic.
So kind of, so the people that might not know who you are, I usually have you like introduce yourself. Obviously I already introduced you by your name, but if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm from Los Angeles. I mean, I've been here all my life. Both of my parents are immigrants. One of them is my dad, who is from Mexico, from Guadalajara.
Okay.
And my mom is from El Salvador.
Okay.
So it's two different worlds and two different cultures. But at the same time, like I was blessed with the opportunity to get to know two different cultures from those perspectives. And it's beautiful, And as soon as I grew up speaking Spanish, and I'm also like very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I feel like there's that as a Latino, like we should be able to speak our native tongue, and I was just blessed to be able to speak Spanish. But yeah, like I said, I got into the origins of like my origins in hip hop come from my older brother, who is actually the engineer on the album. He's been my engineer for everything I've ever done. He's a music engineer.
Okay.
And when he started doing his like engineering, like back in the day, I would sit in the room with him, and then when they were trying like to make beats on like Windows 98
Yeah.
on the original like Fruity Loops, like the one version. I
Yeah.
would be in the room with him and his friend, rapper that goes by
Hmm.
the name of Nemesis,
Okay.
and I was just taken away by that, like by watching him and Nemesis like um, be in the studio. I mean, not in the studio, basically in the room, like making music all night, and they were so passionate about it,
Yeah.
like so passionate, and it just, I after that, when I would spend hours with them, like I'll camp out in my brother's room, and I was a kid, I was
Yeah.
like at the time probably like 12, 13,
Oh wow.
and
Yeah.
they really, like I found myself writing rhymes
Hmm.
on my own time that I didn't tell anyone. And then eventually, when I felt I was ready, I told my brother like, "Hey, I wanna, I wanna write it. I wanna write a song. I wanna record a song."
Hmm.
And this is like 3, 4 years later down the line, and he was like, "Let's do it. I'm down."
Yeah.
And so he produced the first beat that I rapped on, and from there it just became a really bad addiction, like
Yeah.
just writing every day, trying to record and do music, and
Yeah.
it was that's basically the origins of it. So
Okay.
like I come from a very music orientated family. Like
Okay.
my brother's a music engineer, my little brother's a rapper, my mom sings, like my mom's a really good singer, and my dad used to write corridos, so
Oh wow.
we
Okay.
all had some sort of music in it.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, and in retrospect, like it was something that like really tripped me out, that it actually like kind of runs in the blood.
Yeah. What does your
And
like dad think
i'm
about
I
like?
feel
Cause
like I'm blessed.
yeah, what does your dad think about you doing rap? Because obviously he does corridos. Is a whole different genre. Like it's kind of similar though, if you think about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of similar. It's basically like corridos are kind of like gangster rap, but in Spanish.
Exactly.
Like a lot of it has to do with drugs and guns and all that.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it kind of does remind me of that. But
Yeah.
his take on it is just support. Like he I bet like he probably doesn't understand it,
Mhm.
but he more knows that like that I'm passionate about it, and that
Mhm.
that as his son he's gonna support whatever I do, and my mom
Yeah.
is the same way.
Okay.
So I'm blessed with parents like that too.
That's dope. And how did you? So you obviously like got influenced by your siblings and stuff like that, like to start rapping and stuff like that. But how did you actually get into like the hip hop scene? How old were you when you started that?
Um, so that one's also a pretty interesting one, because so at after high school I had recorded a few songs by myself, and I had a friend who I went to middle school with, but then we lost contact after like ninth grade.
Mhm.
He went to another high school. I still had ninth grade together, and then in 10th grade he went to another high school. And when after high school we had no contact, and then for some reason we found each other on like MySpace or something.
Yeah.
And then he was doing music, and I
Okay.
was doing music, and and then he reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, I do music too. Like, you should come to our studio, and like we should record something."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And as soon as that happened, it was just a completely different level. The person that I'm talking about is my homie, Self Sire. And if you don't know, like me and him were also in a rap group. Like we had a rap group together called the Versionaries,
Okay.
and we did the whole Versionaries thing like around 2010 to 2000. I want to say like 14.
Okay.
But we did he was the one that had a lot of connections with like people that were like throwing shows at the time.
Mhm.
And so when we started recording together under Versionaries,
Mhm.
we finished the Versionaries album, and then we we basically started just going crazy and performing it everywhere and anywhere we could.
Yeah.
um, at one point there was I don't know if you ever heard of Urban Underground here in Los Angeles. It was a thing going
Yeah.
on like back in 2010, like in the 2010s, like, and they
Mhm.
would throw a lot of hip hop shows, and they would have like good what are they called, like a really like famous rapper would come like every month. Like they'll have Necro, or they would have like
Okay. Yeah, I think I heard of it. Yeah.
Apathy, or they'll have like, and
Uh-huh.
like the Immortal Technique, Diabolic, they would all come like to Urban Underground was the ones
Uh-huh.
that were throwing the shows at the time.
Okay.
We got in contact with them, and so at one point, we had the opportunity to even open for a few dope cats, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how we were trying to like those at the time. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically how we got into the scene. Well, I
Uh-huh.
got and then after that, like I had my daughter, and I
Uh-huh.
kind of slowed my roll a little bit with
Uh-huh.
the music, but I was always writing, but I wasn't recording it much.
Okay.
And then that's when basically uh I after like I took that 1 or 2 break, like where I was just writing.
Mm-hmm.
um I went back hard, as like I came back as hard as ever. I try to just knock out everything I have been doing lately has been a product of that, you know.
Yeah.
and
That's,
and yeah, and then I was blessed to like run into orchestrated sound, which is funny because like me and orchestrated sounds, like both Eman and Jose, because
mm-hmm.
if you don't know, like orchestrated sounds is like a two-man group. It's
Yeah.
Eman and Jose,
Mm-hmm.
and they we all went to high school together, but we
Oh
never
wow.
met. Like,
That's
you know,
crazy.
like yeah, we went to the same high school, but we never met. Like we were in the same places. There was this thing called the SIPA, where it was a community a
Mm-hmm.
spot where they would um, teach us hip hop, which is also like something like super rare, like you know.
Yeah.
And we would go in there, and DJ Fatty, who is the DJ for Bamboo,
Mm-hmm.
would be our teacher, and
Oh
he would
wow.
teach us how to use turntables. There was a there was a room for everything. Like there was a room for if you want to learn how to make beats.
Mm-hmm.
There was a room with um, instruments to make beats. On the computer, there was a room to record songs. There was a room to learn how to DJ.
Yeah.
So it was like so super dope to be opportunity to even run into this place.
Yeah.
But at one point, um, Creative Sounds was in there
Mm-hmm.
when I wasn't, and
Oh
then
wow.
I was there when they weren't. You know, so like
Yeah.
we were definitely meet each other somewhere down the line though. So
That's true.
I'm
Yeah.
glad it happened, and yeah, but that's basically it. That's a you know
That's a it's cool journey though. It's interesting. A lot of
yeah.
what's it called? Like the journey, like starting from all the way from there to like where you're at now. Obviously, like I just got put onto your
Yeah.
music, but I'm pretty sure there's people that have been following you for a while and seeing your growth and everything. So it's pretty dope. How does your like because you said obviously
Yeah.
you're from two different cultures and stuff like that, like Salvadorian and Mexican. So how does your
Mhm.
culture like influence your music?
Um. Well, I feel like my music has to like have that culture in it because I am Latino, and as a Latino and Mexican and Salvadorian, I always feel like I have to represent for my people, which
Hmm.
is the reason why I take so much pride in doing music in Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, because I know like a lot of people do Spanish rap uh, now. Like it's been kind of more trending now, but what I don't hear a lot is a little bit more conscious Spanish rap. You
Yeah.
know, everybody
Exactly.
wants to rap about rap, and which is fine. You know what I mean? Like there's a genre in hip hop. There's space for in hip hop for all of that.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like my direction or to be an MC
Hmm.
that was gonna speak on knowledge and just love, life, anything that I wanted, that I was basically doing with my music in English. I
Yeah.
wanted to translate to Spanish and project those feelings and those emotions, and I feel like I'm doing a great job. Not to
Yeah.
tip my own horn, but I'm trying the best I can, and I really like the way it's going,
Yeah.
and people like are they're listening, which is pretty dope. So I
Yeah.
really enjoy that too.
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, that's why I fucked with your music because I would do the same type of thing. Like, for those that don't know, I'm like an artist too, but I love like it's funny because I started rapping only in English, and then in Spanish it just kind of happened out of the blue. But I always, like you said, like I love Spanish rap that's conscious, that has like meaning to it and depth to it, because it's more relatable, and I think the
Hmm.
songs are timeless. That's why I picked like "Who Got the Power" because you have that verse, like
Right.
where you're talking about being like more than Latino and stuff like that, and I love that stuff. So, and talking about, our ancestors and stuff like
Yeah.
that, because we come from like a lineage of like gods and stuff like that. So, like you said, there's a lane for everything. Because I mean, there's other rappers like, like Nathaniel Cano or something, like one of the ones that's like mixing like, like I think corridos with like rap, and then you get Snow the Product, but they're in their own little lane. So it's kind of cool seeing you do your thing and not change who you are, and still rap your ass off. Um, so yeah, so that's why I really gravitated towards your music. But what else? What made you like fall in love with hip hop itself? Obviously, you say your brother and stuff like that. But what else? Was there like a specific song or artist that made you fall in love with the genre?
There's like the thing is like I can never pinpoint that. Like I've tried to look deeply into
Yeah,
my heart to see like who is it, like who's the win, but I
yeah.
can't really say because like it was all life. Like like I remember and like I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I would wake up in the morning listening to Power 106 with my brother. Had the radio on blast at 6 in the morning, bumping Tupac. Hey, we got that new Tupac on the radio. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that new Biggie, and listening to that as a kid.
yeah.
And I think that's one of those memories that are like I never let go. That I was like blessed to wake up in the morning and hear that there was a new Tupac, a new Biggie, a new Big
Yeah,
L, and like and new Easy, and so because of him, and
yeah.
I'm definitely influenced by all of those artists, but I just took my own route, and
Mhm,
that's what I mean. I guess I feel that hip hop demands originality,
mhm,
and to take from others mistakes, and try to make your style better. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And that's what I tried to do. So when I decided to start writing my music in Spanish,
mhm.
I I already had an understanding of hip hop, so I just wanted to transcend that same like underground sound and energy and those lyrical things that like I was saying into Spanish, and not be too much of a cat in the hat rapper in Spanish, because I that's all I would hear. Like every time I would hear Spanish rap, it would be like gangster Spanish rap, and they were all
Yeah,
talking about like gangster stuff. Like, where is like the equivalent to like Big L in Spanish?
exactly.
Where is the equivalent to like that was the thing that kind of you know made me want to be that rapper. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to be go down in history as one of the illest Spanish rappers with the capability to be able to flip it in Spanish and English,
Mhm,
and the language. So that was like my next step. Like my next step was to be able to blend Spanish and English so well
mhm.
that you could understand it without even knowing like no, if you didn't
Yeah,
speak Spanish, you hear it and still kind of know what I'm saying.
yeah,
So my new thing. My
yeah,
new thing is the blend. So I'm trying to do that little thing where I'm doing Spanish and English at the same time. And
yeah,
even if you don't speak Spanish, or if you don't speak English, you're kind of getting what I'm saying. So
yeah.
that's what I've been trapped for the past like 5 years.
Yeah, that's dope though. Like you said, you're keeping like the culture alive. Because obviously, I wish I knew like Nahuatl or those like ancient languages, but Spanish is all we got right now. So
Yeah.
keeping it alive. Um,
Yeah.
and obviously, the main thing is we want to discuss is like your latest project. Like I said, the feature presentation, which I love that project with orchestrated sounds. Um, how did it? How do you get inspired with this project? Like what inspired it? What do you want your listeners to take from it?
Well, it was basically, we put a lot of work into this project. Um, like orchestrated sounds, when they made every single beat on the album, and it's not as easy to make 11 beats
Mhm.
that are sick, and like they have tons of beats, but for the
Yeah.
most part, I think almost all of them like made like that day,
Hmm.
or like around that week, and then I would come in and I'll listen to it, and then I'll write,
Yeah.
and then I'll try to knock something out. So my thing with them was always like, if we're gonna go into the studio, okay, cool, yeah, we're gonna fuck around for a little bit, but we do
Mhm.
not leave until we finish something, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we'll 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 try to at least record all the vocals, and
Mhm.
then they'll be like, all right, well, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll edit it or whatever. So we would not try to leave that studio until something was crafted. And so how we started thinking about it, because the project previous to this one, which was dual language, um, we it was the 5 track EP, which got, that's the one where after that we were like, oh, we're gonna really, we need to put out a solidified album, because the EP is like really dope,
Mhm.
and it's giving you kind of a hint that something else is coming in, and we need to really step our game up on the next one.
Yeah.
And that's what we were aiming for, you know, coming with the best beats we could. I was trying to come with the best lyrics I could. And then since in the mist we were recording with one or two artists,
Mhm.
I just got the idea of like, hey, why don't we make this album where we feature
Mhm.
artists?
Yeah.
And then that's how the name came about, the feature presentation.
Yeah.
And then yeah, then after that I started. At the moment, I was performing at Sella Hip Hop. Shout outs to Sella. They were
Okay.
like one of the people that were holding me down for like the past 2 years when it comes to shows. It was like,
Cool.
that's crazy. They were so busy. They were shows every week in LA, like week after week, sometimes 2 times a week, and their events were really dope. And that's
Mhm.
how I got to meet a lot of people, and
Okay.
that's how a lot of people started hearing me. So they would hip hop battles,
Mhm.
um, with shows with rappers in between.
Mhm.
So um, I went in there, and then sometimes I would battle,
Yeah.
sometimes I would perform, sometimes I would be the host,
Oh
like I'll
wow.
be the one on the mic, like
Yeah.
presenting the art. So we did that for like a good like year or two. You know, I did it all, and
Mhm.
I was just in that circle, just meeting new people. and
Mhm.
and that's how some of those people on that on my album ended up on my album, is because I met them through Sella.
Yeah.
um as far as like Francisco Bates is basically self-sire from the Mercenaries. He changed his name to
Mhm.
Francisco Bates now. So
Okay.
Francisco Bates, he's been rolling with me since, he's the first one that got me shows like in 2010.
Oh wow.
And then
Uh-huh.
we had Choice and Mai, who were also on that, who are another group. They're from a group called FEMA Camp. They're from Mid City,
Okay.
and we've been rolling with them since 2010 as well.
Mhm.
Another team that we've been always just working with, or always been chilling with. And then we had who goes, oh well, Jose is, Orchestrated Sounds, who's always, he's like he's almost on every song in that album, and like
Yeah.
he's doing something in that album. It's crazy. He's on the hook, or he's in the background doing
That's
something.
cool.
But he's on, yeah. And then we had Solar and Sylvan Gold,
Mhm.
who like um I met Sylvan Gold at the rooftop show. They had a cellar rooftop show, like New
Oh wow.
York style. It was
Yeah.
on a roof of an
That's very
apartment
cool.
complex,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I've never been to one, so when they said rooftop party, I was there. And then I showed up, and then I think Sylvan Gold, uh, maybe it might have been one of her first performances,
Mhm.
and I just, I met her, we chopped it up, and then the next time around, I saw her again at another show, and we chopped it up again. And then by like the third show, we were like, hey, we should work on something.
Mhm.
And Solar was there with her,
Okay.
and like Solar had also at those same shows, and we were like chilling, and we're like, hey, we should all work on something. And then they were like, hell yeah, let's work. And
Yeah.
then I was like, yo, I have this idea in my head where I want Solar to rap in English, I want to rap in Spanglish, and I want her to rap, and I want you to,
Mhm.
rap in Spanish. And then they're like, yeah, that's a dope concept.
Yeah.
And then we're like, cool, yeah, we should definitely try that. And And then just joking around, I tossed the idea and I was like, hey, we should call it Tres Leches.
That's a
And
good
then
one.
we started laughing.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, we're gonna call it Tres Leches. Then that's
Yeah.
how that name came about
Oh
too. But
wow.
it also came back to it came to my head because Tres Leches, like it's three things of the same thing. It's three different types of milk. So it was the same type, like Spanish, English, in English, and it's the same thing, but it's all different.
Yeah. That's
Little
pretty dope.
different. So that's how it came about. But then yeah, we also had yeah. Who else did we have on there? Also, Murder
Mhm.
That, who is from the Cellar Hip Hop Committee. She's
Okay.
the committee is basically the people that like run Cellar Hip Hop is like Darmedius and like Sanchi and they
Mhm.
have a hip hop group called the Committee, and
Okay.
it's Sanchi, Murder That, Darmedius, which are basically like the top heads of like that Cellar Hip Hop
Okay.
people, and they Murder That. I was blown away the first time I saw her perform.
Mhm.
Like she's super dope, and I heard Murder That, and I was like, yo, I I I I pulled her to the side and I was like, yo, we need to work on something, dude. You're fucking sick.
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, I'm down. I'm down. Yeah. She eventually like we got her in the studio. She did her thing, and like
Yeah.
she came around and she put in her work, and Homage is definitely one of my favorite songs on the album
Yeah.
because she did her thing. Like, it was that Homage song. It's called Homage because it's a homage to hip hop,
Mhm.
where we're rapping, but we're using references of rappers while we're
Yeah.
talking. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of references in there. Then yeah, that we had a um, charismatic and ASP,
Mhm.
who ASP again, once again, another person I met at Stella Hip Hop. Charismatic has been my friend from high school. We've been like kicking it since high school, since like 2006,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
we even though like sometimes life we are like different routes.
Mhm.
He was one of those MCs who, and it turns out he's not really an MC. Like
Mhm.
he definitely, but he is, and at heart, he's one of those guys that does it all.
Yeah.
He was the one that like when I was like in high school and I was practicing my freestyle and I had nobody to freestyle with. He
Uh-huh.
was freestyling with me, and then he got way better than me. And then I would be mad because I was like, "Yo, you don't even rap. You don't even want to rap. Like you're just doing it to to try to hype me up, but
Yeah.
you're better than me."
Yeah.
And so he was always like that what is it called, like that good kind of competition, like
Yeah.
no animosity. It was just like he was just always trying to build me up, but he
Yeah.
was really good at what he does.
Yeah.
He's really good at what he does, and so yeah, the funny part is that we have, like I said, we've known each other for so long.
Mhm.
We've been in the studio all the time, like, but we had never recorded a song.
Oh wow.
And I was like, yo, you need to fucking get in the booth right now and spit that shit, because he was freestyling something to one of the beats, and I was like, you need to spit that shit over the carpool beat. And then he's like, nah. And I was like, nah, bro, do it. And he's like, nah, it doesn't fit. And I was like, yes, it does. Do it. And like we managed to persuade him,
Mhm.
and he did it.
Yeah.
And like I said, you've listened to that verse. It's pretty sick. It's not like he's just the average rapper. He's been crafting that like style forever too.
Yeah.
Like he he's also the guy that did the second video on the album, the take cover. He shot that video for us because, like I said,
Oh,
like
okay.
he's going right now. His direction has gone photography and videos,
Mhm.
and he was the take cover for us. So,
Okay.
and then yeah, then we had Ram on the album, which
Mhm.
is also him and Orchestrated Sounds
Mhm.
have been working for a long time, and they have a album that Orchestrated Sounds has recorded for him that's like really dope. And
Mhm.
when Rem came around, I was working on that track, and then I needed a verse, and he just like happened to be like around the street, and he came in, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And like,
Yeah.
oh, Rem, Oh yeah, we actually had gone to that whole SEPA thing where I've told you where they teach us how to use turntables and record. He was there too at that time when I was going, but we
Yeah.
didn't really click. Like we were just I was doing my thing, he was doing his thing,
Mhm.
and then we ended up like not really getting to know each other as much as we should. But
Yeah.
that day that he walked in, it was all love, and I was like, yo, you want to jump in? Like, and he's like, yeah, definitely. He wrote something on the spot and knocked it out, and he killed it,
Yeah.
And he's definitely another artist who I want to work with more because he's really dope. Like I said, he has an album with orchestrated sounds in the in the kitchen that is oof, it's
Okay.
gonna be sick. So I mean, look out for that one. But
Okay, for sure.
yeah, as far as that goes, yeah, we the album itself, it has a lot of features and all that,
Mhm.
but it's also dope, that they're all like friends. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? At one point, like friends, we were all aiming for the same goal, which is put our name out there and like work on this hip hop thing and bring the culture back.
Yeah.
And and it's dope. So that's basically you know the story of that album. Like
Yeah. That's crazy.
it's
Yeah, and then you
pretty
have, I think,
pretty sick,
letras too,
to
right?
have worked with everybody that I did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, letras. How did I forget?
That's-
Like, see, like letras. The story with letras. Another, like this
yeah.
guy, me and him, we've been knowing each other for like a good 10 years. A good
Mhm.
10 years, and he was he was just like we always like we've been kicking it a lot lately too. Like we still like we see each other almost on every other day type of basis,
Mhm.
and we just hang out and we talk. And he's like, yo, like he's been like telling people when we kick it, and he's like, hey, like Arquitecto is like one of the first persons I met when I came to this country
Oh,
because he's
wow.
from Mexico.
Okay.
He's from Mexico, and he's like he was one of the first people I met when I came to this country, and he showed me nothing but love.
Mhm.
and and it's crazy how like I was working on music, and then he was working on this little music too,
Mhm.
and and we I tend to believe like he's the best Spanish rapper in LA.
Yeah.
Like I really when he became fucking ill, he disappeared for a little bit from me. He
Mhm.
came, he was fucking sick,
Mhm.
and then I was like my standard is to be at his level too, and we always we pushed each other, like in a sense to like be better,
Mhm. Yeah.
and he's like definitely like he's always somebody that I'm trying to keep in my circle,
Mhm.
like he knows it, and he's always trying to push me to be like, yo, if you can do something for me when it comes to the hip hop thing, like, oh, yo, so my bad.
No, no,
Um,
you're good.
can do something for me when it comes to the hip hop thing, like he'll do it, and I'll do
Yeah.
the same for. I know how sick that kid is, and like
Yeah.
crazy. Like he's only in like his mid 20s, you
Oh,
know.
wow. Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard him. I heard him on your
yeah,
track Duelo, because you've been obviously promoting the single Duelo, which is on
yeah,
the project. And yeah, when I heard him, I'm like, this guy's fucking dope.
yeah. He's like he's like in early 20s, and he's been working for a long time. So like
Wow.
when I when I was rocking shows like back in 2012,
Mhm.
he he had already started doing that too. So
Oh, okay.
he was maybe like 21. I remember. I think we went to a show and he had a fake ID because he was, you know, and then, but like, it's funny that that we were both doing that, like he was in the, I was obviously I'm older than him, but like, yeah, he had a fake ID because he wanted to go to hip hop shows and he
Yeah.
wanted to like, you know, be in the ciphers and he wanted to,
Yeah.
so it was always embedded in him too. So it was dope. But like I said, the kid has grown to be like a beast now. Like he's like I said, I believe like in my heart, like
Mhm.
there's no better Spanish rapper in the city of LA than Letras. Like this,
Mhm.
his potential is so crazy. All these like tracks that he has that people don't know of are like incredibly ill. So
Yeah.
that's pretty. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah, so yeah, all the features are dope. Like they all mix well. So that's why I love the project too, because it's like really like versatile and everything. What's like your favorite track though? Like if you had to pick like at least one or at least two, what would be like your favorite one and why?
Mm, I um I have a thing for that song Life.
Okay.
Yeah, Life. I don't know. I feel like um that song Life was the one that like it was it was just coming to me.
Mhm.
It was just coming to me at that time, and it was
Mhm.
just like, oh, okay. It just like kind of poured out onto that page, and
Mhm.
that um that beat that Orchestrated Sounds gave me is a Jose Jose sample, and
Okay.
I've been a big fan of Jose Jose for a long time,
Okay.
and he, yeah, so it was just like as soon as I heard the sample, I was like, oh no, that's the one,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I was like, because they would do this thing sometimes where we'll go through a couple of beats,
Uh-huh.
and I think that was the first one they showed me, and I was just like, I don't want to hear the rest of these beats no more, like flip that one back,
Yeah.
and then I kind of just started writing nonstop to that one. And
Yeah.
yeah, and obviously it's called Life, because it's about life, about my life, basically, in a sense,
Mhm.
like what I was going through, and I'm going through, and it's just
Mhm.
things that we go in our lives, like
Yeah. That's dope,
uh,
man.
it's that one, and then if I had to have a second pick,
Mhm.
um, also it would probably be Desperate Deeds.
Okay.
Desperate Deeds. Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, like Desperate Deeds was the first album I mean, that first album, the first song we recorded for the
Okay.
album.
Oh, okay.
Like we started with the
And
yeah.
it's
So
the last one.
I think like the last one, yeah. So me and E-Man were having the conversation on how he's like, hey, isn't it funny that Desperate Deeds is the last song on the album, but it was the first one we recorded, and the feature presentation is the first song on the album, and it's the last one we recorded. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty big. Like, yeah. I was like, yeah, that is a pretty interesting fact, like,
Yeah.
but that's how it went. Desperate Deeds um, uh, also was one of those songs that, as soon as I heard that beat, I was just like, oh no, and I wanted to give you kind of an insight on who I am through
Mhm.
Desperate Deeds. That first verse, about how I feel, and about how like I'm also human. Like some
Mhm.
people tend to, like, I know it's like this world right now, it's like, about social media and everything, and then they get carried away thinking that these people are superstars, or that
Yeah.
they're perfect, or, that they don't go through it on the daily
Yeah.
basis. We're like constantly like promoting our music, or they don't see the problems behind the artist.
True.
And I just, I felt like on that song, I wanted to project the fact that of where I am, where I came from, and that I'm also going through it.
Yeah.
And and it was funny. It was funny because we had a when we filmed when we recorded the album, we like literally took our time
Mhm.
on trying to um like craft this album so perfect. Like we try to do everything right, and I guess that's why like everything has been coming so right to us.
Yeah.
We really mapped it with orchestrated sounds, as in, look, we're gonna put out how many songs on this album. Okay, we're gonna do 11 songs. Okay, how many of those songs are we gonna do videos for? Okay, so we have the budget and the people that are willing to help us for three. And okay, cool, we got three videos. And then we're like, okay, what about the album artwork? And then that's when I was just like, I don't want to go with a picture of myself on
Yeah.
that album. Like, I
Mhm.
know, like, and I don't want to go with something digitally made,
Mhm.
because like I said, like every time I've been looking at albums
Mhm.
lately, that's all you're gonna see. So you
Yeah.
see an with a person with the rapper's face on it in the front, or you see an album where uh, they digitally, it's a digital picture of something.
Yeah.
I I spoke to my another person who's like been rolling with me since 2010, which is Ender Navas.
Okay.
Um, Ender was a graffiti writer when I met him, and he managed to like turn that energy
Mm-hmm.
into art. And you know, he's trying to make money out of his art,
Yeah.
which is something I was always able to relate with him.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make money out of my art too, you
Mm-hmm.
know. We didn't know how. We were just, hey, like I was out on the streets rapping for free, and
Yeah.
he was over there tagging walls for free. Like we could have been making money off this, you know, if we were smarter.
Yeah.
And we eventually got that moment of enlightenment, and he said, you know what, like this is it. I'm gonna go to school, and I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna learn how to do this, and I'm gonna learn how to do that. And he was
Mm-hmm.
always good at what he did, you know, like.
Yeah.
And so when I never lost touch with him. We would always talk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when this album was about to finish, I talked to him and I was like, "Yo," he's like, you're down to like do my album cover?" And he's like, "What the fuck, fool? Hell yeah!" He's you didn't even have to ask. Like I was already thinking about it. Like,
Yeah.
but he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna bless you with something really dope, something that like every that album. I don't know if you've seen the actual like frame of it. It's like he
Mm-hmm.
drew that on a giant piece of wood type canvas thing, and
Oh
like
wow.
yeah, like it's
Yeah.
big. Like the album is like almost like I guess to like my hips. It's like a
Uh-huh.
really tall, like, really wide piece of wood, and like
Uh-huh.
and it's hand painted. He did that. He painted it
Mm-hmm.
himself. He had no help, and it took him a while because you know like he also has to be focusing on working for the money that you know that obviously like it's his job, and he has to take care of other people before he takes care of mine,
Yeah.
because I'm not him because he's doing it out of love for me. So we had
Mm-hmm.
to wait a little bit,
Yeah.
but it was, you know, the outcome of the album cover was just like, yo, as soon as I saw it, I was blown away. I was like, yo, this is one of the dopest things I've ever seen. Like, you
Yeah.
killed it. And every time like he was working on it, and like I would go and I would see him work on it for hours.
Mm-hmm.
I would, and sometimes people would stop by and they'll just like, oh shit, that shit's really dope. Like, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
he would get a props on it. So when he finished it, he's just like, I was just so satisfied with the outcome. And you know, like it's a blessing, you know, like that I had, you know, him by my side also to give me a piece of art that, like I said, he hand drew
Yeah.
and took, like he took weeks and months on it. And that's basically what the album reflects, you know, at the end of the day. Like
Yeah.
that album took us months, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. We had to
Mm-hmm.
go to work, some work on the album, and sometimes we spend mad love and mad hours on that album.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing Andrew did at the end of the day. So it was like,
Yeah.
yo, like it kind of reflects it. And like some of the squares on that album are pieces of, you know, obviously of the songs in the album.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Like
if there's,
life, right?
yeah, life is there, and then the top left, I mean the bottom left is the chess board where we play chess.
Yeah.
You know, the vendetta is on the is for the who got the power. It's like
Mm-hmm.
revolution. And on
Yeah.
top of that, a B for Vendetta is another sign. So when we were doing Mercenaries in 2012, like we used to use the V. So it was like
Okay.
Mercenaries. So the people that followed that journey since 2012,
Yeah.
they know the Vendetta is also part of who I am, you know,
Yeah. That's
which is
dope.
basically a throwback to the
Yeah.
Mercenaries. But
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
so a little
That's a
insight on that album,
Yeah, that's
our
like
work. Yeah,
you
oh,
really like put
that,
your like you said your all your work into it, so it shows obviously, and like you said, it's paying off. You guys created like a really dope project. And then to kind of move on to the other side, usually like for this podcast, I don't know if you've seen some other episodes, but I mix it with like hip hop and horror. So the latter part of the interview, I
yeah.
kind of move on to like the horror side. So moving on to like something a little bit more lighter. What's like do you have any like favorite horror movies, and if so, which one is it and why?
Oh man, I'm also a big fan of horror movies, and
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of anime as well.
Yeah.
But okay, like I have this one thing with like this movie, Puppet Master.
Oh, okay.
Puppet Master. Yeah, and it's only because um when at the time, like when my baby mom was pregnant with my daughter,
Uh-huh.
um we spent like that whole like December,
Uh-huh.
we bought like this I don't know where we got it something, but we got the whole collection of Puppet Master, like all of them, like even the ones that nobody likes, like
The
like
shitty ones.
all the other ones. We just like, I remember we would watch Puppet Master like
Yeah.
all day, like like we watched Puppet Master 1 and 2, and I was just like,
Yeah.
damn, some of these are really bad, but let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
But so Puppet Master is those that
Uh,
like I grew really fond of, because it's a trippy little movie, like
yeah, that's a good one. I
but
don't think I've
that's
ever really
one.
heard anybody mention that one. That's a good one. Like I think is it the first or the second one where is it the little doll that like spits something from its mouth or something? I can't remember. That always like sticks to me, that image. I think it's like the first
I
one
think
or
it's two.
two.
I think
Okay.
it's number, yeah, and it'll be like
Okay.
two, yeah, but Puppet Master the best one, and
Yeah.
I mean it's
Yeah.
usually that's what happens. Number one is the best one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Puppet Master, like I said, it was like something like I'm like, damn, Puppet Master was a trip,
Yeah.
But if my all time, I guess, all time favorite horror flick, damn, I'm always gonna. I think I'm gonna just run back to Child's Play
Yeah.
one,
It's a classic.
Chucky,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
Chuck,
cool.
Chucky, because I was scared of Chucky. I was like fucking 13, like
Oh my god.
I was, as a kid, he put so much fear in my heart. It was ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
Like that's what parents used to use on you. Like, "Te va a salir el Chucky, vente pa acá," like, oh shit,
Mine didn't work for me. Mine is like I wanted one. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you gonna buy me one or?
Yeah,
Man,
I was
that's
really scared
cool.
of that guy. And it's funny now because my nieces,
Mhm.
are like my neighbors,
Mhm.
and my brother lives next door to me, and
Yeah.
my nieces are like, when they're acting bad, they're like, I was like, hey, I'm gonna bring out Chucky. I got him right there, and then they're like, no, please, no, and then they run away, like,
Yeah.
and I still use him to fear,
That's
because
funny.
I know how much fear that guy can put in kids.
That's true. That's true, man. And then kind of like a cool question I always ask is like if you were to make up like a horror movie rule that hasn't been made, like survival rule, what would it be like in a horror movie?
Like a survival role.
Yeah, like what would you say? Like, oh, don't go into like a
I don't
dark
know, like
room or
I'm not. Oh, okay, okay. I see what you mean.
yeah.
Um, I guess it would be don't slip, because
That's
they tend to always like fall when you don't need them to
that's true.
fall. Like,
That's true. That's
they
true.
stay
That's a
on your
good.
toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the one.
Yeah,
I
right. Yeah,
swear I've
like
seen so many when they're just about to make it and they just fall,
they
and then
fucking
it's
fall.
like, oh no.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
where's it like the like Zombieland is like the main one is like cardio. I'm like, oh shit, I'm probably gonna lose that right now.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, cardio.
what about do you believe in like the supernatural? I've had people here on guest on the show where they've actually had like supernatural experiences or know somebody that had something. Has anything happened like that to you?
Um, I do believe in the supernatural.
Hmm.
Um, I I there's only two things that I can think of when I think of the supernatural that I live, you know,
Hmm.
and it's only like they're so powerful because if it's something like that burns into your head, it's because but the first one was we were living in this like back house,
Hmm.
and with my dad at one point,
Yeah.
with my dad and my mom, and it was just like a really creepy back house,
Uh-huh.
and there was just a giant tree.
Uh-huh.
So like the front house looked really nice, and then they divided a wall, and then it had a giant tree that covered the back house that you couldn't see it, and it was just like an ugly tree, like in the middle. in the middle, right before, like if you were walking from the front house into the back house, it's like the tree was stopping you to getting to that back house.
Okay.
So you had to walk around it, and it was big, and it was
Yeah.
and that whole like back part of that house, like no grass would grow.
Oh wow.
There was no grass. It was like all dirt and like
Yeah.
mud.
That's
So
crazy.
like there was never any grass in that.
Uh-huh.
So it was like kind of odd, you know.
Yeah.
And so no grass would grow. Well, whatever. We lived there for like less than a year,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know, like at one point, like my dad was like, um, I guess like he was trying to get it fertilized so grass would grow, I guess, and I don't know why he was just like digging into the ground
Mm-hmm.
for like for like I don't know, for just digging and like trying to take the dirt out, and I guess he was gonna try to ferment the ground or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and one of those, like he popped out a skull out of the ground, but like it was like
Oh
a
wow.
weird like looking skull, like not a human skull, like an animal skull.
Oh wow. That's
And I
creepy.
was like, and it was nothing other bones like to make the body of that, you know.
Uh-huh.
But it kind of looked like a goat kind of skull, like a
Oh
goat.
wow.
So it was like satanic thing,
Yeah.
and we were like, what the hell? Like my dad pulled it out of the ground. He's like, what the fuck is this? Like it's just crazy, you know.
What the
And he
fuck?
had it there for a while because he was tripping, you know?
Yeah.
But then after um one time my mom and my dad were out, and they left us with one of my aunts,
Mm-hmm.
and that like shortly after my dad had pulled that skull out of the ground, like
Mm-hmm.
that I was just like chilling in the living room, and my aunt was in the kitchen, and the kitchen was like you can see the living room from the kitchen, and like
Yeah.
she turned around, and then she went into like she hit the corner to like go to the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and when then she came out of the bathroom, the blender turned on and it started spinning and it was disconnected.
Oh what the fuck? That's creepy.
And she fucking screamed. And yeah, and I turned around because she screamed, and I looked at the blender and I was like, "What the hell are you screaming for?" And then I got up and I went to go see it, and it was disconnected. And I
What?
was just like, "Whoa!" Like,
Wow.
yeah, that was definitely like that. And
That's
then after that,
creepy.
like, yeah, the blender going off when it was disconnected. That and
Yeah.
it went like it spun for like a good like 5 seconds, like
Uh-huh.
but it was like roaring, you know, like when the blender's on full
Yeah.
power. So it did like what the hell, and it was disconnected. So it was like that one was a trip, and
Yeah.
the second one was a kind of like a a dream, but I don't know if it was a dream. You know,
Uh-huh.
it was one of those things where you think you're awake, but I don't know if it's like I don't know if you ever had that where you're like you're you feel you're awake but you're actually dreaming, but then you don't know, you kind of lose that reality thing,
Yeah.
that borderline between and dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never had that, and I've never had it,
Yeah.
but basically um I was uh I was like younger, and me and my brother had we shared a room, but we had separate beds, and
Mm-hmm.
I was sleeping in my bed,
Mm-hmm.
not sleeping, just like laying down, getting ready to go, and I was just like closing my eyes, like I was like closing my eyes, and I was like facing the door, and the door was like slightly opened,
Yeah.
and I was like just like as I'm like eyes and like falling asleep,
Yeah.
um and one of those where I'm like blinking, I see a hand on the
Oh hell
door,
no.
and it's a little gray hand. It's a little gray hand, and at that moment I'm paralyzed. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, keep in mind that like it looks exactly the same as my room. Like it's not like, you know, if you're dreaming, like you might see little weird things that you're like, oh, it's a dream.
It's like a dream,
But
yeah.
it felt so real. I
Mm-hmm.
saw that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that touch the door
Mm-hmm.
and froze, and I couldn't even talk, scream, I couldn't do nothing. And then it opened the door,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a little alien, a Martian, like a little gray, what they call the grays.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked in my room and walked up to me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I felt my body started levitating,
Oh, wow.
And then my I felt my body levitate off my bed, and I was trying to scream, but I couldn't. I could just
Uh-huh.
move my eyes. The only thing I could do was move my eyes, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like looking at my brother, like wake up, but I couldn't say nothing. And
Yeah.
then I felt my body levitate slightly off the bed,
Uh-huh.
and then they tried to. I was next to the wall, and so
Mm-hmm.
my body was like about to hit the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going through the wall, and then I blinked and it was all over, and I was
Oh,
right
shit.
where I was in bed at the same time, and I was like, "The hell? What the
Yeah.
hell?" And then I was just breathing hard and like sweating and
Mm-hmm.
like oh, and I just like was looking around and like touching my face, like is
Mm-hmm.
is this real? Like
Mm-hmm.
And then I like looked to the side and I was looking at my brother,
Mm-hmm.
and then my brother like turned around. Then I was like, I didn't want to say anything. I wanted him to tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, what happened? Why did you wake up?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, he's like, dude, he's like, you were screaming. He's like, you were screaming. And, and I was like, I didn't have the courage to turn around to see what was going on. Like,
Oh my god.
and then, and then, yeah, he was like, you were screaming. I didn't have the courage to turn around to see what
Yeah.
was going on. And then I was like, fuck, like now that had just like stayed in my mind because I didn't know if that shit really
Like
if
if
I
it
was
was
ever
real or not.
abducted or
Yeah.
like you
That's
because like I said, my brother was there, but he never urged to turn around to see if it was real, like
wow.
so it was always something like damn that's but it felt so real. Like I said, to the point like I have never woken up from a dream and like touched my face and just
Mm-hmm.
like yo like like touch the walls, touch the
Yeah.
floor, like because I felt so
It
real,
felt so real. Yeah.
so
And
I
that's
hope
scary.
I'm still not. Yeah, that was a real trip.
Oh man. Yeah, well
But yeah,
thanks for sharing for that. Yeah, that's interesting, but that's scary at the same time. And then usually like before I end the interview, I like to ask this question for people that like think about legacy and stuff like that. What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind, either like creatively or on a personal level?
um, I always thought that the legacy that I want for me is to be recognized and respected as um one of the top bilingual rappers. You know,
Yeah.
um, to be yeah to be given my credit for doing the Spanish and English thing in the scene, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like to just be one of the pioneers. If because I am not one of the pioneers
Yeah.
of this, but I'm pretty sure like I'm one of the ones like bringing it back to life,
Mhm.
or or giving it its time. And if I'm not the one that does it, I want to be the one that inspires the person that does at one point.
Yeah.
Because um, like I feel like one of the pioneers of the Spanish and English um, hip hop styles. And I don't
Mhm.
know if you've ever listened to them or ever ran across them. Sinful from the Mexicans.
No, I don't think so. No.
The Mexicans is a hip hop group from the '90s,
Mhm.
and to be honest, like because it's capital Iman and Sinful,
Mhm.
and I call a lot of times where Iman, his rap partner, did uh, Spanish, but
Mhm.
Sinful would do Spanish and English,
Mhm.
and then he would not give a fuck. Like he would have a verse in Spanish,
Yeah.
and then Iman would do it in English, or he will do a song in Spanish,
Mhm.
or he will do a whole blown song in Spanish or a whole blown song in English. So when I ran into the Mexicans and like heard their music,
Yeah.
and I checked the dates, I was oh this is like 94, 95,
Mhm.
and Sinful was on it already,
Oh wow.
and he was good, like you know what I mean. He
Mhm.
um in the era of where all the Latinos that were doing hip hop were doing gangster hip hop, like you know what I
Mhm.
mean, like Psycho
Yeah.
Realm, Cypress Hill, you know, delinquent habits,
Mhm.
sinful, I felt like it was one of the ones that was on the more intellectual level
Mhm.
and on a more MC type of level. And he
Yeah.
was also gangster on the level. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have this really dope track called "Never in This World," which that I that I felt really inspired by
Yeah.
when it came to that. And then yeah, uh, they like I said, yeah, like my legacy. Like I said, I'm probably not ever gonna be known as one of the pioneers of the Spanish Spanglish, hip hop
Mhm.
rap community, but I definitely want to be go down as one of the illest that ever did it in that style,
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So
That's dope. Yeah, you're on your way there, so you're doing a great job.
thank you.
Thank you again for for stopping by here and doing this interview. And for those that are watching, if you want to just I wrote down your IG, but on social media, I don't think you can see the underscore. But if you want to shout out and say where we can find you.
Well, I'm on all media. You know what I mean? Like you can find me on Spotify, SoundCloud. Whatever you use to listen to your music. All you have to do is type in my name. It's right there, Arquitecto Verbal. And yeah, on IG it just needs the underscore, and
Yeah.
basically that's it. Like I've been trying to put my music out on everywhere, and I just was able to do that not that long ago. So I'm blessed to like be able to
Yeah.
share this with you guys, like because I sometimes like I run into a lot of artists, and like I mean before this like
Yeah.
I would try to share my music, but some people don't use SoundCloud, some people don't, I mean, like your music's on
Yeah.
YouTube, but it's not the same because there's a lot of people that just listen to Spotify and they're just like, oh, that's all I use,
That's
Spotify. And
true.
there's all the people that use Apple.
Hmm.
So for any young artist, anybody that's like that wants to do music, I feel like the best route to take is to try to go for that. You know what I mean? Like try to
Yeah.
aim to put out your music in all platforms. And it's crazy because that will push your music onto a level of like international style. Like it'll
That's true.
move it in other countries too. Like people from other countries are listening to, and it's a trip. Like just recently when Spotify hit me up about they give me whatever information that of people who have been listening to me. Like
Hmm.
Bolivia was one of the countries that was listening to me, and I don't know anybody, but like
That's
it's a
dope.
trip. Top country was, yeah, outside of the
Yeah.
U.S. It's pretty interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can find me anywhere under Arquitecto Verbal. So
All right, man.
go
Thank you
peep that.
again. Yeah, for sure. Go check it out, the feature presentation. Let me show the CD again one more time for those watching. And again, thank you again, Arquitecto, for stopping by. Have a great rest of your weekend.
You too.
All right, thanks.
Have a good one.
Peace.
It was nice talking to you, eh?
Hey, same. Peace.